Welcome to episode 102 of the Clarity Compressed podcast. My name is Paul J. Daly, and today we're going to talk about doing all the things that you're not supposed to do. Clarity can only really exist in the light of truth. Branding just isn't a tactic. It's a lifestyle change. Okay, the moment of clarity today is that people only remember things that are repeated. And especially for the leaders that are watching this or listening to this, you might have an idea for what is important, and it's actually going to be clearer to you as the leader. But if you don't repeat it and push it down and find ways to integrate it into your daily living, guess what? People aren't going to remember it. Just about the time you start to get sick of saying it is usually the time that people just start latching onto it. So the moment of clarity, people will only remember what you repeat.
I'm so excited for what he's gonna show me. Hurry up and show me Paul's pick.
My pick for this week is this book, The Culture Code. This is a book that breaks down what makes some truly amazing groups, truly amazing teams of people. What are the factors that make the difference? And it opens up with a really awesome illustration on this competition between kindergartners and CEOs and engineers building towers out of toothpicks and marshmallows. And wait till you find out who really cleaned up because of the dynamics of the group and how they treated one another. This is worth the read, worth your time. The Culture Code. I hope you check it out. So about a week or two ago, I made a post, and it was a picture of me with a spray can. You couldn't really tell it was me unless you look a little closer. I had hair. It was in 2003, but I had a spray can a spray paint can, and I was spray painting a Chevy Astro van, 1984 Chevy Astro, which was the first vehicle I got to start my business, Image Auto. And the gist of the post was that I didn't know what I was supposed to do when I started that business. So I just started doing what seemed reasonable and rational. And over and over doing things that were reasonable and rational overtook the things that in business that you're supposed to do to start a business. And I would say that's one of the large contributors to the reason that was successful and that business was successful, was because I didn't have enough knowledge, intellectual knowledge, to understand what I was supposed to do. And so this week, I really want to get into talking about the things we do in business and life that we're supposed to do that really overtake and overcrowd the things that would actually contribute to our success and our growth, because there are so many voices from all over, and there's the industry, and there's experts, and there's internal voices, and there's parents, and there's siblings and friends, and everyone is telling you what you're supposed to do. And a lot of the time, all of those things, they drown out the voice of the unique thing inside you that's saying, actually, this seems like what I should do. And all of us have different gifts. All of us have different strengths and weaknesses. And a lot of times what we're supposed to do goes against those individual gifts and goes against those individual strengths. And I think that when people let those individual gifts and strengths out and sow them into their situation is when we actually get the best outcome. So I was given this book. It's called The Culture Code. And a good friend of mine, his name is Tim Bergstrom. He's a COO of a large auto group in Wisconsin, Bergstrom Automotive, that his father founded. They went from being like the smallest dealer in Wisconsin to the largest dealer in Wisconsin. A lot of that because they care for people, and they just cracked the USA Today's top 50 places to work. And that's significant because no automotive dealership or group has ever broken that list before. It's a great place to work. John and Tim Bergstrom are very special people, and a lot of the ways they've built this organization was by not doing what they're supposed to do. And I wanted to pull this little section out of the front and share it with you. So it's a story of the early 2000s. There was a company. Does anybody recognize the name Bill Gross? Bill Gross. I would say probably not. So Bill Gross was the founder of a company called Overture, and Overture was really the leader in founding this idea of pay-per-click. They were well-funded, West Coast tech company, and the race was on to really optimize the model of serving ads to people when they search for specific things. Bill Gross, the company was Overture. He invented pay-per-click. We have no idea who he was. Well, at the same time, there was another little company. You probably know what I'm about to say. A little company, little startup called Google, who was silently competing with Overture. And they and Overture knew each other existed, but they were both silently kind of competing to bring a functional and realistic model to life. Now, Overture had lots of departments, and they had lots of funding, and they have lots of systems and structures, and this is how you develop tech products. And they were doing everything they were supposed to do. And all the bets were on their side. Well, it's interesting. Larry Page, one of the founders of Google, he one day in the small kitchen that they had in their company at the time, small company, he just wrote on a piece of paper, he wrote, "These ads suck." And he put it up there, pinned it up right to the cabinet. And really, he was upset because they weren't doing well in their battle against Overture. They had a product called AdWords. Sound familiar? So they were developing their product called AdWords, which was their pay-per-click product. And when you would search for like a Kawasaki H1B motorcycle, you would get ads served up from companies that want to help you with your form H1B on your visa application. So understandably, he posted something that said, "These ads suck. Not relevant. I'm looking for motorcycles. I'm not trying to apply for a visa to go somewhere." And I'm going to give you another name that you've never heard. And this name is Jeff Dean. And Jeff Dean was a real modest engineer from Minnesota, Midwest, so he's probably like super nice. And when he was going sipping his coffee, he saw the ad saw the little paper that was pinned up that said, "These ads suck." And it kind of gave him a little flashback to an issue that he was dealing with when he was building out the search platform and working out on search. So he went to work trying to solve the problem, trying to make it so that when you search for an H1B Kawasaki motorcycle, you don't get help with your H1B visa application. And so he went to work on this, and unbeknownst to anybody else, he didn't ask for permission. He didn't go to the department head and say, "Hey, I think that I can figure this problem out." He just went and started working on it. And within a week or two, he actually solved the problem. And all of a sudden, the AdWords product became way more accurate, bypassed Overture's big corporate structure of what you're supposed to do. And in the year following Dean's fix, Google's profits went from 6 million to 99 million. And that's because they didn't do what they were supposed to do as a company. He didn't do what he was supposed to do as someone who worked on one side of the project. And so that is the situation that happened with Google, probably a story you never heard before. And so I was thinking about that in context of my business, Image Auto, growing up, in context of the agency that I'm building now, and taking this approach and idea that people want to be connected. And if you can find a way to connect people with one another, that business just becomes more meaningful. And because of that, the marketing gets more effective, internal culture gets more effective, and everybody gets drawn back to the center of why you're doing what you're doing and how it can be meaningful and really impactful, and not just profitable, and not just not looking good on paper, and not just have a good employee benefits package, but actually be meaningful. So right now, think about it. In your life, in your business, can you think of times that you didn't do what you were supposed to do? And that is actually what was the secret that unlocked some level of success or some level of growth. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening to episode 102 of the Clarity Compressed podcast. As always, if there's anything I can do to help you, reach out, DM me. A lot of people DM on LinkedIn lately. There's been a lot of action there. So that's a good place to DM where I'm paying a lot of my attention. I will help you however I can, so that we can all move forward doing what we're not supposed to do, so that we can grow, break free of the molds, and give everybody something to talk about. Have a great week.
Yeah. Yeah.